channel. So we're back with our next instalment of 12 weeks to a sustainable you. So if you've missed any of the other ones we're getting towards the end of our 12 weeks now. We've been through diet, we've been through the best exercises, we've been through the best workout splits, we've been through why protein is important, why water, breakfast, we've been through loads of stuff. And all these things together, by the time we get to the end of the 12 weeks, are all great lessons and bring together into a really healthy lifestyle for you if you can follow some of the tips I've gone through. So today is about supplements. Now, a lot of you guys out there will probably think if you're starting on a healthy regime that you need to take supplements. You don't. You don't actually need any supplements. I suppose the name is a bit of a giveaway. Supplement. They are a supplement to an otherwise healthy diet. You don't need them, they're essential. They are just another tool in the toolbox to help you achieve your goals. So if you have specific goals and supplements might help you reach them, great. But don't take any supplements at the expense of health. So some supplements are great, but in excess, as we'll talk about later, can be counterproductive to other goals you might have. So just go steady. But let's talk about, literally out of all the thousands of supplements out there, there is literally a handful that I would recommend. So most supplements are complete garbage, a complete waste of money, and I wouldn't even entertain them. You can probably guess which ones those are. Testosterone boosters. Any sort of thing that's labelled a detox product, ketones, they're all things I honestly wouldn't bother with. I think today we're going to go through 6 supplements I think are worth your money. The rest of them, probably take or leave. So let's start at the beginning with my number 1. They're not in any particular order, but these are the 6 things I would say are probably worth your money. Okay, so number 1 is protein powders. So protein powders are relatively cheap, they're extremely convenient, they're really extensively tested, and they definitely are worth investing your money in. So there's loads of different types of protein powders. You've got your whey protein, and within whey protein you have your concentrate, your isolate, and your hydrolysed. And then you've also got casein, soy protein, pea protein, beef protein, and probably a plethora of other things. So if you're a vegan or a vegetarian, there's still something there you can take. Within that, you'll have things like weight gainers. So weight gainer proteins basically will have had a load of other things added to them to bulk up the calories. Normally carbohydrates and sugars in order to make the calories higher. So if you're on a weight gain regime, it's just a way of getting extra calories in alongside the protein. You will then hear about people talking about things like diet proteins. All that basically is the whey protein on its own without any of the extra carbs. Sometimes they might add things like digestive enzymes in just to help you digest them. But let's be honest, it's just purely, most diet wheys are just the whey protein on their own. They might add vitamins and minerals in, but yeah, it is basically just a whey protein, a basic whey protein. So the great thing about whey proteins and protein powders in general is that they obviously taste great because you can get an absolute boatload of different flavours, which is brilliant. So if you don't like just plain protein powder, it's a great way of adding some taste into your foods. They also are a fantastic way of boosting your protein intake. So when you're starting on a health and fitness regime, you'll be looking to increase your protein levels. And we normally say around a gram per pound of body weight. So if you're 140 pounds, 10 stone, you'd be looking to get 140 grams of protein in your diet. For a lot of us, especially women, that's a big ask. So maybe just taking it in baby steps and aiming for 100 grams would be a great starting point. So you imagine if you're getting a protein shake every day, that's 20 odd grams ticked off already. So they're just a fantastic and relatively cheap and convenient way of getting your protein levels up. And let's be honest, you can add them into porridge, you can add them into yogurts, you can add them into smoothies. You don't have to be chilled, they can be kept in a cupboard. They're just very convenient. So protein powders are definitely up there in one of my top plus supplements. Okay, number 2 would be a multivitamin mineral supplement. Now, if you're eating a healthy diet full of fresh vegetables and fruits, it isn't really necessary. However, I personally take one, and I would just say it's like a safety net. It's a belt and braces approach, just to make sure you've covered all bases. Usually with multivitamins and minerals, if you've got too many, all they'll do is just go through your system and you'll excrete them. So they're not going to do you a lot of harm. And honestly, the levels in a multivitamin and mineral are never really going to be high enough to cause you any harm. So with a balanced diet, they're probably not necessary. But I would say it's probably just one of those belt and braces things. I would include them, and specifically more for at-risk populations. So elderly, pregnant, people who maybe are gluten-free might look to include them, and maybe vegans and vegetarians who are maybe not getting all the different vitamins from food that maybe a meat eater might. Also, maybe people with type 2 diabetes might look to include one just to make sure covered all bases. And as I say, if you're gluten-free or if you've got celiac or Crohn's disease, it could be worth just taking something for those particular conditions. Okay, so number 3 on my list would be a fish oil supplement. So you're looking to get obviously omega-3 from a fish oil supplement. Now, if you have a diet that's really high in levels of oily fish, probably again you don't need to take one, but most of us aren't getting much oily fish in our diet, and the levels of omega-3 in oily fish these days tends to be a little bit low. So I would definitely include an omega supplement in your diet. So what you're looking for in your omega-3 supplement is that they contain EPA and DHA. Okay, so our diets generally on the whole tend to be very high in omega-6. Now, they come from things like dairy, red meat, eggs, stuff like that. So what we want to try and do is get a ratio of 1-to-1 between omega-6 and omega-3. So when you get yourself a supplement, just check it's high in EPA and DHA. EPA and DHA are the two important factors you're looking for in your omega-3 supplement. Now, why is it good for us? So if you were getting omega-3 in your diet, it's for healthier blood vessels, to decrease the lipid count in your blood, it's to decrease plaque buildup in your blood vessels, which obviously can affect cardiovascular disease. It's also been shown to lower the risk of diabetes and potentially lower the risk of some cancers. So it's definitely worth getting them in your diet just for all those blood-related effects. Okay, number 4 on my recommendations would be a vitamin D supplement, and specifically vitamin D3. Now, D3 is a fat-soluble vitamin, and it's synthesized from sunlight, so you can see why we're getting more and more people that are deficient in vitamin D. Now, there are a few people who are deficient, but there's many, many people that have got suboptimal levels of vitamin D3. It's found in fish and eggs, and obviously sunshine is very important. So D3 increases your cognition, so the way the brain works, it increases bone health, and it increases immune health. It also helps decrease the risk of cancers, diabetes, cardiovascular disease, multiple sclerosis, and also if you are deficient in D3 and you start taking D3 as a supplement, you might find also in men testosterone levels can increase. So if you're deficient, that can cause an effect on testosterone levels, which is really important. We would recommend as a daily dose 1,000 to 2,000 international units. That's sufficient for most people, and I would always choose D3 over D2, and make sure, because they're fat soluble, you try and take your supplement with a meal. Okay, creatine is another really, really well-researched supplement that isn't just for bodybuilders. There was this stigma attached to it that it was almost like taking steroids. Honestly, no. It's a fantastic, well-researched supplement that's good for a lot of people. So basically what happens, creatine monohydrate is the one I would recommend. It's the cheapest and it's the most researched and the most effective. So win-win on that one. Now what creatine does is increases the production of ATP, which is basically an energy source in the body. So therefore, by increasing energy, it increases performance, which is great if you're training, but it's still good for people who don't necessarily train, because it's supposed to really help with cognition and brain function. So there's a load of advantageous sides to creatine. Definitely recommend it for most people. A lot of brands recommend a loading phase of like 5 to 7 days, but to be honest, I would just say take a daily amount every day. The suggested daily amount on the packet, just take that daily. You don't really need to cycle it or anything like that. Some brands might suggest you do. I think just keep it simple and take it every day. They do recommend that you don't take it with caffeine because that might affect it, but I'm sure it's still going to work. But make sure you always choose a monohydrate because that, as I say, is the cheapest. You might find that taking it causes stomach cramps. Sometimes it does cause that. Make sure you take it with loads of fluid and you're well hydrated. If you do find you're getting diarrhea or nausea with it, just reduce the dose a little bit and see how that goes. But yeah, really good supplement, definitely recommend. And good, definitely performance in the gym. We'll definitely find that's increased by taking creatine. Okay, number 6 is caffeine. Now, a lot of you guys might not see caffeine as a supplement, but actually it's a really, really powerful supplement for training. It's a powerful stimulant and therefore can help increase strength, performance and endurance. Also in some tests, it's been found to reduce the risk of Alzheimer's, as well as cirrhosis and some liver cancers. So definitely worth considering. Now, how does caffeine work? So, a substance called adenosine is responsible for relaxation and sedation. So what caffeine does is it blocks the adenosine receptors in the body. So therefore, stops the relaxation and sedation and makes you feel more alert and awake. And that's how caffeine works. The only downside with it is that you can become intolerant over time. So definitely if you're using caffeine frequently, I would take breaks from it or maybe reduce the dosage. Remember, it's in coffee, tea, it's in some dark chocolates and stuff. Things like that have all got caffeine in, also green tea. So be careful of hidden caffeine in drinks. Diet Coke still got a lot of caffeine in, obviously normal Coke, so just be aware of that. Things like Dr. Pepper I think also has it in, so just be aware of caffeine. And obviously energy drinks, high levels of caffeine in there. So be aware of all these different places that caffeine could be coming from. And also, if you have high blood pressure, be careful with caffeine because naturally being a stimulant, that's going to send your blood pressure up. Now, one very important part about caffeine, if you're using it around training, it has a long half-life. So it will stay in the bloodstream for, I've heard, over 6 hours sometimes. So make sure if you are taking caffeine, nothing later than 2-3 o'clock latest, and then it's out of your system ready for bedtime. Because it's all very well using caffeine as a stimulant for training to get better results out of your training, but if you're not getting a proper night's sleep, there's no point. As you know, sleep and rest is so much more important for your health and fitness goals than probably doing a few extra reps down to a strong caffeinated drink. So remember to weigh that up. So I would always start with a dose of about 100 milligram and see how you get on, and make sure the max dose you should be taking is 6 milligrams per kilogram of body weight. So times up your body weight in kilograms by 6. That's the maximum figure you should be taking. If you're getting over that, it's a little bit too high and you need to start reducing that down, or just maybe taking a little bit of a break. Okay, so that's my 6 supplements that I think are worth spending your money on. It's worth giving an honourable mention to BCAAs. Everybody asks about BCAAs. Now, I personally think they're a complete waste of money. If you are eating a diet with plenty of protein, you don't need them. Now, what are they basically? Branched chain amino acids. You know that protein, which is one of the macronutrients, breaks down to its component amino acids. They're the little building blocks that make up protein. So, branched chain amino acids are just amino acids. So basically, if you're getting enough protein in your diet, you don't need them. The only time we might say they would be useful is if you're a person who prefers to train fasted. So you get straight out of bed on a morning and you get straight into training. It might be worth having maybe 15 grams of BCAAs in a drink, and to drink that while you do your fasted training. Obviously, naturally, as soon as you have a drink of BCAAs, you're not training fasted because you're drinking calories, but it's a good way of keeping on top of muscle protein synthesis if you want to make sure you're really on your game with getting the amount of protein in for muscle building. That's probably the only time I think they'd be useful, but I would say on the whole, don't waste your money. Make sure you get plenty of protein in your diet, 1 gram per pound of body weight, and you are well on your way to where you need to be in terms of healthy levels. Okay, that's it. That's my little take on supplements. I mean, there are literally gazillions of supplements out there. We could spend hours talking about them all, but I'm only going to talk about the ones that I think are worth your money to buy. So they're the six I would say that were worth knowing about. Everything else, take it or leave it. But that's everything for today. I hope you found it useful. Any questions you've got on any of this, please comment below. Anything else you need to know, you know where I am. Get in touch if you're looking for a coach. I'm working online now, so distance, no object, wherever you are. If you're looking for someone to hold you accountable to your nutrition, training, and everything else in life, get in touch and I will get straight back to you and we'll set up a call, have a chat. Other than that, I'll leave it there for today. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Bye bye.